book of Isaiah, chapter 19 and verse 4. And the Egyptians will I give over into the hand of a cruel Lord, and a fierce king shall rule over them, saith the Lord, Yahweh, by Shema Shai of hosts. All praises to Yahweh, by Shema Shai, Wahara Kakodash. The honors of the elders and the apostles of the great millstone, Shalom to the hopeful elect and seeking to be the elect of the nation of Israel. They scattered abroad amongst the heathen, some looking like the heathen, beginning with the 144,000, preachers, teachers, and prophets, Shalom. As you see right here, 17 hours ago, Trump reportedly mulling plan to declare national emergency, paving way for a major power grab. Now we know midterms coming up. Trump wanted to stay in power. He said he wanted all power. All right. Hey, we see him doing any and everything to stop people from voting. He's making it harder for people to vote. He's pulling out all the stops, man. Well, this is the last one he got. And me personally, I don't think it's going to be a midterm. Because if it does, they're going to get that man up out of there. Because he's bringing nothing but hell and chaos upon the people, man. People are struggling because of him. But as we just read in the prophecies, Yahweh Shema Shai has appointed over the Egyptians, which would be the Babylonians, the people in America, a cruel Lord and a fierce king shall rule over them. All right, remember, this man holds grudges, man. All right? He's all about the big payback. All right? This man wants to stay in power. He said he wanted all power. All right? Now, you type in what does it mean if Trump declares a National Emergency Act. It says a National AI Overview, a National Emergency Declaration by President Trump triggers the National Emergency Act, NEA, unlocking over 1,000 statutory powers that allow the president to act without congressional approval to address specific crises such as border security, trade, or energy. These actions often bypass legislative roadblocks, allowing for the redirection of federal funds, deployment of the military, or imposition of economic restrictions, as demonstrated by his actions on tariffs, energy, and border security early in his 2025 term. Key implications of such a declaration include expanded authority. The president can't invoke specific dormant laws. The International Emergency Economic Powers Act to take actions normally reserved for Congress. Fund redirection funds can be diverted for purposes like military construction, such as the border wall. Economic measures. The president can't impose tariffs or restrict foreign financial transactions. Military involvement. Troops may be deployed or the National Guard federally. Remember, everybody's in the way of Trump deploying these troops, man. All right? These states, these major cities, these sanctuary cities, excuse me, I'm sorry, y'all. Just woke up. These sanctuary cities, it's like, hey, we don't want them troops up over there. All right? And the court's ruling, hey, they got to get up out of there. All right? So, hey, like I believe the last, what is it, Washington? What's his name? Tom Homan. He said the job was done in Washington and they're going to pull the troops back. Well, as we told you through the Spirit of Power, how about Shema Shai, know they're not going to pull them back, man. Prophecy is going to play out. All right? These troops going to be everywhere. However that happen, it's going to happen. All right? It says, legal challenges. While the president has broad discretion, these actions are frequently challenged in court as an abuse of executive power. It says in his 2025-2026 term, these declarations have been used for broad policy goals, including implementing and sometimes modifying. You see? So Trump is always talking about China is interfering. Well, all this stuff is a lie. All right, and we got a video we're gonna play at the end. All right, so hey, this is our cruel Lord, man. Let's type in how. I mean, we pretty much read it. How does declaring a national emergency affect midterm elections? AR overview. Declaring a national emergency can signify impact midterm elections by unlocking vast executive powers, creating opportunities for voter mobilization or suppression. And this is what we already seen Trump do. All right? And they're going to explain everything in the video. Creating opportunities for voter mobilization or suppression and shaping the political narrative. Based on 2026 reports, such declarations can trigger attempts to alter election rules, deploy federal personnel, or influence voting processes, although many of these actions are subject to intense legal challenges. And remember, he already talking about deploying federal troops at these polls, talking about to keep illegals from voting. You see? So this devil doing everything. And so bad to the point they blaming China like he did the last time. Hey, I truly believe, hey, they're going to cancel these midterms. Something will happen. All right? I believe all hell going to break loose. If he does cancel it, he's going to do something. All right? All hell might break loose before midterms, and he declare martial law. Or it get right there to midterms, and I don't know. But me, I don't think it's going to be a midterm. All right. Hey, they might fabricate the numbers, and he's still being in position of power, and these people turn up. All right, off of that, we got to wait and see. But something's going to happen, man. I don't think it's going to be a midterm, man. He has to continue to be that cruel Lord, that fierce king, and rule over the people with that same energy. And prophecy has to play out, man. These people have to, that 2 Edis 15, where people are standing up against their kings and their princes in the course of their action, standing up power. That has to play out, man. All right, Trump is the perfect guy for that. But you know, hey, this is how Basham Shah show. All right, we're going to sit back, watch, man, see how things play out. But hey, this most definitely the time to be circumspect and pay attention. Don't forget, they're supposed to dispatch, 23,500 troops between now. It was supposed to have been between January the 1st, 2026 through April, if I'm not mistaken, April 1st, 2026. So, something going to happen, man. It says, potential effects of midterm elections attempt to change election procedures. A national emergency declaration might be used to justify changing voting methods, such as banning mail-in ballots or mandating specific types of voting machines, citing foreign interference. That's what's happening now. All right? That's what's happening now. This is what he's saying. All right? Which is all, turning out to be a lie. All right? It says federal intervention such as declaration could be used to justify deploying federal agents or National Guard troops, which has raised concerns regarding potential voter intimidation or interference in election administration. And we have brought an article out concerning that, man, a few weeks ago, if I'm not mistaken. It says manufactured crisis as a political tool. A president may use emergency powers to advance a political agenda, such as securing funding for specific policies, border walls, that are central to their campaign, creating a direct link between executive action and the election narrative, shaping the political landscape. Emergency declarations often dominate the media cycle, which can either help or hinder a party's election prospects depending on how voters perceive the crisis and the administration's response. Legal and constitutional constraints. It says no power to delay or cancel. Presidents cannot legally postpone or cancel federal elections, as the Constitution and federal law set these dates. Judicial review. Any attempt to use emergency powers to alter election rules will likely face immediate challenges in court, with legal experts arguing that such actions often contradict the Constitution's election clause, which grants authority to states. Voter intimidation laws. Federal law prohibits the intimidation of voters, meaning that federal agents or troops cannot legally interfere at polling places. Historical and regulatory context. National Emergencies Act, NEA. This act allows the president to declare emergencies, triggering over 100 special provisions, but it does not grant authority over the election process itself. State-level authority. While the president's power is limited, some state laws provide governors with the authority to change election procedures during a declared emergency. Specific 2026 scenarios. As of February 2026, reports indicated that allies of President Trump were circulating a 17-page draft, a 17-page draft executive order aimed at declaring a national emergency to take control of the 2026 midterm elections, specifically focusing on banning mail ballots and requiring hand-counted paper ballots. Now let's play the video, man. So hey, just keep your head on the swivel, man. Anything can happen at any given time. Alright, we see a lot of these things playing out already, which shows a sign that, hey, he's trying to stay in power, man. He want more power. And, hey, they're going to tell you, man, hey, his polls are low. They down, man. All this America great, man. The tariffs coming in, the economy boom. He lying. Which everybody know he lying, man. Hey, you see everybody complaining. Everybody out of work. Everybody hurting. You see? The title of the video is "We'll Be in Court Within the Blink of an Eye." If Trump declares emergency over elections, Norm Eisen. And this is MSN now. Alright.
There is new reporting this morning from the Washington Post on behind-the-scenes efforts to unlock presidential power over elections, power the Constitution assigns to states and Congress. According to the Post, pro-Trump activists are circulating a draft executive order alleging Chinese interference in the 2020 election, of which there is no evidence according to the intelligence agencies, and using that false premise as a basis to propose a national emergency to expand presidential power over voting, such as banning mail-in ballots and voting machines. The Post reports measures in the proposed order include requiring hand-marked and hand-counted ballots, as well as re-registration ahead of the midterms with proof of citizenship. Let's bring into the conversation one of the lawyers who stopped the president's last election-related executive order in court, the co-founder of the Contrarian on Substack and executive chair of the Democracy Defenders Fund, Norm Eisen. Norm, good morning. It's great to have you here. So you have called this idea, quote, unconstitutional and insane. So effectively, it is what I laid out, which is you claim that there was Chinese influence in the 2020 election. The intelligence agencies have said there was not, and therefore declare an emergency over this election, thereby unlocking all this presidential power to change the way the vote is counted, to change the way that people vote. If you can, just walk through some of the dangers of this and why you say it's insane.
Thanks, Willie. And what's really going on here is Donald Trump and his allies are terrified of the blue tsunami that is gathering, with Democrats having won or outperformed by double digits in about 247 of 277 races over the past year. And so they're trying to make it more difficult for people to vote. There was no Chinese hacking of the 2020 election. 2021 intelligence community assessment found that the Chinese were ready to do it, but they didn't. Donald Trump has no emergency powers over elections, Willie. Just as the Supreme Court struck down his supposed emergency powers over tariffs, he has even less here. And both in Congress and with this executive order that has been circulating for some time, Donald Trump has threatened he would take executive action. The goal is to set up barriers to voting. It would make it more difficult for people who have changed their name because they got married, for students, for those who don't have passports or other documentation. And Willie, the worst part of all this, these hurdles that are being erected needlessly, is that no one votes illegally in our country. Studies over and over again, including by the conservative Trump-supporting Heritage Foundation, have found that there are so few incidents of this that over the past, over a 2-decade period, there were just a couple of dozen out of tens and tens of millions of votes. So we went to court at Democracy Defenders Fund and Democracy Defenders Action to stop the last EO. The judge said Donald Trump has no constitutional power over elections. She blocked his prior attempt to interfere. If he tries this, we will be in court in the blink of an eye. So will our allies and partners. So will the state AGs. It's going nowhere. Voters are going to get to vote in November.
Lemire, thinking about the false allegation of Chinese influence on the 2020 election, remember the cyber ninjas, the self-appointed election auditors who went to Arizona and looked, I'm not making this up, for traces of bamboo in the ballots because in their minds that would mean they'd been shipped in from China.
Yeah, what was the Chinese or the Italians? I think they had spy satellites, the Venezuelans,
Sure.
and of course, the conspiracies go on and on. So, Norm, some of this obviously is far-fetched, but the danger is real to those who want free and fair elections. Speak to us about how this time around, we know in 2020 there were some guardrails, some roadblocks, some obstacles to what Donald Trump wanted to do. Like Attorney General Barr said no. There's evidence of voter fraud. That we had some state officials in key places like Georgia say no, we're not going to go along with this. But this time, he's brought a lot of the fringe conspiracy theorists into the fold here who are working in various parts of the administration. So it seems like this is a testing move here to try to figure out what levers to pull.
It is true that he has removed some of the internal checks that affected the 2020 campaign. But remember that in 2020, those of us on the outside, I was on the other side of Donald Trump in many of those 63 cases, representing governors and AGs, secretaries of state, pro bono, and we stopped him. And at Democracy Defenders Fund and Action alone, over the past year, we have 264 legal cases and matters. We've stopped them in court again and again. And this democracy movement, this coalition, is ready to go to court again, both civil society groups like mine, but also the state AGs. If he tries this, it will fail. There's no constitutional or factual basis for it. It's not going to work. The voters will be able to vote. We're ready for whatever Donald Trump may try.
Executive Chair of the Democracy Defenders Fund, Norm Eisen, thank you very much for coming on the show this morning. We appreciate it.
No, he talking real proudful, saying the voters will get the vote, but we're gonna see. All right, but hey, that's why you see all the time Trump blaming China, Russia, Iran. Why do you think he's doing that? So he could try to make it seem as if they're the reason. They're the interference and that's why there need to be rule changes. All right, but no, it's all an excuse. All right, see, they've been planning ahead, because if something would have happened, they could easily blame the big three, but it's actually Trump, all right, and his administration, man, doing this so they can stay in power. All right. But yeah, I just wanted to hit this real quick through the spirit of power. Yahweh Shem Y'all stay prayed up in the name of Yahweh Shem Y'all. Shalom.